Good afternoon. We're learning the laws of Purim, and we are on Tafresh Tzadi Hey, Beis 695-2. And today we're going to talk about the mitzvah to drink on Purim. So before we start with the Shulchan Aruch, let's look at the Biur Halacha to learn about what kind of mitzvah is this to drink. Many people get drunk on Purim, and it's a mitzvah. Let's learn a little bit about it, because we don't find such a mitzvah in other places. Vim Timer, the Biur Halacha asks, if you're going to ask me, Heich Yechayvu Chazal, Ma Shnisker B'Torah U'B'Neviim B'Kama Makamus Hashichros L'Michshel Gadol. Biur Halacha asks that we find many places in the Torah, our sages and in the words of the prophets, that getting drunk is a bad thing because it can lead to sin. So how could the rabbis here require us to get drunk on Purim, to drink on Purim? V'yesh Leimar, the reason is that through all of the miracles that happened to the Jews on Purim, happened through drink, through festivities. Originally, how did Esther become queen? Because Vashti, at the party, she wouldn't come to Achashverosh, and she got killed, and that allowed Esther to become queen to save the Jewish people. Haman's downfall was at a meal with drink, where Esther invited him, and she exposed Haman for wanting to kill the Jewish people, destroy the Jewish people. So the rabbis required that we drink wine to recognize that the miracle happened through wine. But he concludes that this is a mitzvah, it's not a requirement. So the difference is that it's definitely a mitzvah to drink and get drunk on Purim. However, it's not something that's absolutely required. The Megillah, for example, that's a requirement. You have to hear Megillah. Whereas to drink on Purim is a mitzvah. It's a mitzvah that one gets rewarded for doing it, but it's not an absolute requirement. And soon we'll discuss how much one has to drink, if one has to only drink wine, and things like that. Let's see the next Biur Halacha. This is what the Meiri says. On Purim, one is obligated to increase in happiness and to have a lot of food and drink, and he shouldn't be lacking anything. But we are not commanded to get drunk and to denigrate ourselves through the happiness. We're not commanded to just be happy with nonsense and stupidity. Rather, we're commanded to be happy through our enjoyment of Purim, to come to a love of Hashem. Look there what he says about the Gemara. So the idea is on Purim that we get drunk as a means to thanking Hashem for the great miracle that he did for us and expressing our love of Hashem. That's what the goal of getting drunk is on Purim. Lose some of our inhibitions to be able to do that. What Purim is not about is getting drunk to just be silly and to just enjoy nonsense and things like that. So when one gets drunk on Purim, he has to have the proper goals of what he's trying to accomplish. The proper goal should be that he's trying to rejoice in the holiday of Purim, to come to a love of Hashem and to thank Hashem for the many miracles that happened to the Jewish people. This is the wording of the Chai Adam. Since all the miracles on Purim happened through wine, so therefore the rabbis commanded that we should get drunk on Purim, or at least we should drink a little bit more than usual. However, says the Chai Adam, if a person knows that through drinking he's going to denigrate some of the mitzvos, he's not going to keep the mitzvos properly, or he's not going to wash before he eats, or he's not going to bench properly, or he's not going to daven, or he's going to behave in an undignified manner. It's better that he doesn't drink. So anyone who knows about themselves that when they get drunk, bad things happen, should not drink on Purim. The main thing is that all of his actions should be for the sake of heaven. That's what he writes. Okay. So let's start with the Shulchan Aruch and read the Mishnah Berurah. One should drink on Purim until he does not know the difference between cursed Mordechai and blessed, sorry, I didn't even drink and I said that, being cursed Haman and blessed Mordechai. V'yesh Amrim, some say, this is the Ramah, the Ein Sarach Lishtaker Kolkach, you don't need to drink that much until you're that drunk. Eli Yishta Yosem Milimudo, you should drink more than usual. V'yishan and fall asleep. Umetoch Sheyashen, Any Idea Ben Or Haman Labarach Mordechai, and from the fact that he drank a little bit and fell asleep, when he's asleep, he doesn't know the difference between cursed Mordechai, cursed Haman, and blessed Mordechai. I didn't even do that on purpose. Again, not even drunk. I promise. This is just coffee. This is not anything alcoholic. I promise. Okay. Ve'echad hamarbe ve'echad hamamit ubilvad shechaven libo l'shemayim. And one who has a lot and one who doesn't have a lot to drink. The main thing is his heart should be his action should be for the sake of heaven. Okay, so according to the Shulchan Aruch, one really has to get drunk until he doesn't know the difference between blessed Mordechai and cursed Haman. And the Ramah writes that no, during the meal one should drink a little bit more to the point where he falls asleep. And when he falls asleep, then he doesn't know the difference and he fulfills the mitzvah. Okay, let's see the Mishnah Berurah here. Ben Ar Haman. Shazema Palarishona. This is the first downfall of our enemies. That Haman, in the Purim story, he suffered a downfall. He was killed. Shenito Nakama Rabba Mimenu. Great revenge was taken upon him. The Oto V'Yiserim is that, however, there was another greater thing that happened on the story of Purim. Gedulas Mordechai, that Mordechai was elevated. Shebercho Kodesh Baruch Hu She'ala L'Mala Rosh. Hashem blessed him that he should be at the head. V'hinei Kodem Shenishtaker Nasan Bavadei Todel Hashem Yisbarach Al Shtei HaTovos. So before someone drinks, he's for sure going to thank Hashem for these two great things that happened. One is the downfall of Haman, and two is the elevation of Mordechai. V'alkein Omer Chazal Shelo Yavsik Militin Shevach Al Zeh B'Simcha Ad Sheyavu Lidei Kach Shelo Yavchin Od Ma Ben Tov Azulazu. So the rabbi said you should continue praising Hashem for these things until, through your happiness, until you don't know the difference between these two good things that happened. He says you should be careful when you wash, when you make the hamotzi blessing, and benching. Via simcha shel mitzvah, and your happiness should be the happiness of a mitzvah. So even though one is drinking on Purim, he has to still be careful to fulfill all of the mitzvahs. Getting drunk on Purim is not an excuse not to fulfill the regular mitzvahs associated with eating. Now, on another topic, he says it's possible, the Pri Megadim writes, that there's many mitzvahs on Purim. He says when you do these mitzvahs, it's possible that you have to have intent to fulfill the mitzvah. Anytime we do a mitzvah, we're supposed to have intent that we're doing it to fulfill the mitzvah. When I put on tefillin in the morning, I should have in mind I'm putting on the tefillin to fulfill the mitzvah. So he says here too, it's possible when it comes to having the Purim meal and giving gifts to the poor and mishloach manos, that it's possible you should have intent when you do it to fulfill the mitzvah. Okay. Interesting that he puts that halacha here in the middle of this discussion. I'm not sure why. The Mishnah Berurah says on the Ramah that the Ramah writes that to fulfill the mitzvah of getting drunk on Purim, one should drink a little bit more than usual and then fall asleep. He says that should be the practice. That's befitting to do. He quotes the Pri Megadim. Okay, now, when it comes to drinking on Purim, does one have to drink wine? So, one does not have to drink wine. However, some say that it is better to drink wine because the miracle of Purim happened through wine. Now, if someone can't drink wine, I saw quoted in the name of the Stipler, I didn't see it inside, that you could get drunk on something else, but it's still, you should drink a few sips of wine to fulfill that. Also, women don't drink on Purim. This is just men. And okay, and the main goal should be though that the drinking should bring about a closeness to Hashem, a love of Hashem. It shouldn't just be drinking for the sake of drinking to be silly. And if a person knows about himself that he's going to act in a undignified manner and not act appropriately, then he should not drink at all. Okay, so just to summarize, we have two opinions here. According to the Shulchan Aruch, one should drink on Purim to the point where he does not know the difference between Haman and Mordechai. And the Ramah says on that, it's enough if a person drinks a little bit more than usual and falls asleep, and that should be during the meal, after one washed. And we saw that one does not necessarily, we mentioned, not in the Mishnah Berurah itself, that one does not necessarily have to drink wine, although it's better. And but if he gets drunk on something else, he should drink a little bit of wine. And also, they quote that one does not fulfill the mitzvah with grape juice, because one doesn't get drunk from drinking grape juice. Okay, wishing everyone a happy and warm, snowy day.